All right, so next, I do kind of want to get into the news of the AJ Green retirement and kind of an overview of his career. So earlier this week, AJ Green announced that he would be stepping away from football and be retiring. And while I didn't necessarily expect it, I'm not very surprised by it. Receiver, I mean, he's been in the NFL since 2011, right? Taken fourth overall by the Bengals in that very infamous 2011 draft. That 2011 draft is just that's an all-time draft. Like that is maybe the second or third best draft of my whole life. Like the rest of my life, that would probably be a top two or three draft. I mean, that draft is just insane. Just to go over kind of AJ Green's, career numbers: 727 receptions, 10,514 yards, 70 touchdowns. Just really, really cool stuff. Spent 9 years in Cincinnati and then the last two in Arizona. He was one of the most dominant receivers of the early 2010s era. I remember him and all those deep bombs that he got from Andy Dalton. I mean, that was a good duo. Him and Andy Dalton were a really good duo for a while. I remember the Hail Mary that he caught, like just a lot of really, really cool stuff from AJ Green. So I do kind of want to talk about a few things with AJ Green. Um, spent those 9 years in Cincinnati, and I want to say 2017 was probably his last good year. Looking at his stats, it's his last 1,000 yard season. Had 1,078 yards, 8 touchdowns. He had one, two, three, four, five, six, seven. He had seven really good seasons. He also made a Pro Bowl in 2017. So the first 7 seasons of his career made the Pro Bowl. 2018, had about 700 yards. That's not bad. 2019 missed the whole season because of his ankle, and then 2020 only caught 47 passes for 523 yards. Last 2 seasons played in Arizona and really didn't do much. But AJ Green is kind of a when I saw the news of AJ Green, it kind of made me sad because it feels like the era of players that I grew up watching are slowly fading away. Um, like I remember the prime days of Julio back when I was in middle school, of AJ Green, of Antonio Brown. I remember, DeMarco Murray. Um, just so many of these guys that I grew up watching and that in my early football watching days when I want to say I was just an innocent watcher. I didn't really know much about teams or players or strategies or anything. I just liked watching the games, and I would always be in class. I'd always get in trouble because I'd always be in class on the school computers watching highlights from the games over the weekend. AJ Green is one of those guys. I really, really enjoyed watching his highlights, and he is a reminder to me that my first generation of players that I've been watching are quickly and swiftly fading into the oblivion of retirement. And so, in terms of taking it outside of me for a second, in terms of his kind of Hall of Fame resume, I would say I'd put him in. 7-time Pro Bowler. Um, really had over 10,000 yards, 70 touchdowns, um, caught 727 passes. I think those are Hall of Fame esque numbers, and I think you do got to put him in. His only, I guess his only kind of drawback would be, I mean, he was fairly productive. I would say there was never a year where he was like the best receiver in the league because again, like Julio was taken, I think 6 or 7 picks right after him. So Julio was obviously like the top guy for a while, and then like 2014 starting, it was Antonio Brown was really really good. So was he ever like the top one or two receivers in the NFL? Probably not, but I think he was fairly productive for 7 to 8 years to where you can put him in. But I wouldn't be. I think maybe he falls into the what's called the Hall of Very Good, where the guy was really good, the guy was a great player, but maybe didn't have the accolades, didn't have the longevity, or didn't have the statistical dominance of some of these other guys. So I don't think he's a Hall of Famer. Maybe I'm contradicting myself. Maybe I don't think he's a Hall of Famer. Could he get in? I could see it, but I don't believe that he should be a Hall of Famer. I think he's a Hall of Very Gooder, but in my opinion, not a Hall of Famer. But again, just that era of kind of those early 2010s players fading away it made me feel old. And I'm 20. I shouldn't be feeling old, but I felt old when I saw that AJ Green retired. Tom Brady, I didn't feel as old because Tom Brady he'd been in the league since I was born. Like he'd been in the league. So I figured that that dinosaur was gonna retire soon. But AJ Green, like I remember when AJ Green was drafted. I remember seeing him out of Georgia. I remember a lot of these things. So um, yeah, but that's AJ Green. If you guys have any comments or on AJ Green, make sure to leave them down below. But I just want to get my thoughts on AJ Green because I saw that he retired. Just I saw it just yesterday. So